Hello and welcome to this webinar. My name is David Cameron Gikandi and I'm very happy that you made the time to come and get involved with this material. I guarantee you, I promise you, you're going to get a lot of value and new insights from out of this. Now, just a quick word about me. I'm the author of the best-selling book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, and I was the creative consultant on the movie The Secret, which you might have heard of maybe through Oprah or Larry King Live. In any case, it was an international bestseller, and it also has a complimentary book a complementing book that comes along with it. So, what are you going to expect out of this webinar? Let's get into it. Well, we're going to be looking at three challenges, and we're going to be looking at how to solve those three challenges. Challenge number one. We're going to look at the law of attraction when it's not working, and we're going to look at manifestation when that's also not working. We're going to troubleshoot that, and we're going to see how we can fix it. Yeah, I think a lot of us do understand what the law of attraction is. We also understand what manifestation is, but quite a lot of us get frustrated. We wonder, why is it not working for me? Maybe not all the time, but sometimes at least, you know. And the second thing we're going to look at is finding your meaning, your purpose, or your unique value. What are you here for? A lot of us ask, why? What's my life about? What am I supposed to do? You know, what's meaning am I supposed to contribute? Or, you know, whatever. What's the greater purpose of my life? We're going to look at some nice, simple strategies to quickly figure out your unique purpose. Because to be honest with you, none of us have, our purposes are so unique to us. And not only are they unique to us, they're unique to us in the moment. From moment to moment, your purpose can shift. Yeah, so your purpose is not like necessarily going to be the same from when you're 10 years old to when you're 100 years old. It can shift moment to moment. And also, mine and yours are very unique. So really, no one can tell you what your purpose is, but we can see things that can help you find your unique purpose in that moment very, very clearly. The third thing we're going to look at is we're going to find a sure path to financial security, independence, and abundance. Financial abundance is something that evades a lot of people on this planet. It's one of our biggest common challenge. Yes? So we're going to look at how to overcome that challenge. Okay? And so I think, as you can see, there's a lot of value packed in this webinar. If you can stick with it, and you know, I'll do my best to be very clear and not to waste any of your time, to keep it short and sweet. And yeah, so let's get going. Now, before we move to the next slide, I just want to say one thing. Number 1, 2, and 3, these three things that we're looking at in this webinar, you know, that you can see right in front of you on your screen, you're going to notice that they're all related. They're all connected. They all form one whole. But I just wanted to mention that for now. You'll see how that works later. Okay. Now, the formula that we're going to apply as we go forward, excuse me, is the one you see in front of you. This is the formula and the framework at the same time. It's based on the idea that ask and you shall receive. Isn't that the promise of the law of attraction? Ask and you shall receive. If any of you have ever heard of the Abraham materials or any of the many other places where we get this law of attraction teachings, whether you know it's from ancient scripts, whether it's from religion, like people like Jesus as well, they say the same thing, you know, ask and you shall receive, or whether it's from Abraham or the New Age movement, it's all the same. Yeah, it always says the same thing: ask and you shall receive. You know, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open unto you. So this is a general framework. That's a framework of manifestation, and it's a framework of the law of attraction. And that's what we're going to be looking at. In fact, we're going to address those three challenges that we talked about in the previous slide through this framework. It kind of works for everything, okay? Now, over here, I'd just like you to notice that in the first column on the left, you have the column that says you ask. This is where a manifestation is initiated, or rather where creation starts, okay? And asking comes about through our conscious or unconscious vibration. It's a vibrational thing. It's not necessarily you, you know, finding 10 minutes a day to sit down and visualize. Definitely, that's also part of asking. But as a whole, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the minute you're born, even before you're born, the minute you die, and after you die, you're always a vibrational being, and you're always offering a vibration. That vibration is called asking. Now, you happen to be conscious of some of that vibration, or rather consciously aware, and then there's a lot of it, the bulk of it. The bulk of it you're not conscious of. It is unconscious or subconscious, okay? Together, these two cause creation in your life, of your life experiences, okay? Now, so we've already said it's conscious and subconscious. May I just add that it involves mind and emotions. Now, having said that, I would like you going forward to think of emotions as this. Think of emotions as your subconscious thoughts and your subconscious beliefs bubbling up into the surface of your awareness so that you can become aware of what's really happening down there or in there, in your subconscious, in your unconscious. So emotion has been described as different things. Some people say it's energy in motion. That's also cool. But try and think of emotions as your subconscious thoughts or beliefs, because beliefs are just thoughts that you take as true, okay? Bubbling up into the surface of your awareness. Once you start looking at emotions like that, the whole world changes, because you start to realize mind and emotions are sort of same things in different clothes, you could say, okay? Now, once the asking has been done, we move to the second column, which is universe answers, okay? Now, as we're going to see, the universe always answers. It does not choose. It does not say, I'm going to answer that, and I'm not going to answer that, or that one is really big, too big of a task, so it's going to have to wait, and that's a very small one, I'll do it now. It doesn't do that. It just listens to the vibrational offering 24/7, and it answers. Now, you might want to replace the word universe with other words such as energy, and we'll see how that is so, because we're going to be looking at quantum physics in a bit. Energy, or so you can say energy answers, the vibrational for the scientists in us. If you have heard anything about quantum physics, you realize that this is such a 100% scientific proposition that we have over here, that literally the universe is made of energy, and this energy literally obeys, for the lack of another word, of a better word, maybe not obeys, but maybe not even react, but whatever it is, the mind and emotion vibration that we are offering interacts with the energy that is everything that we have in our universe, including ourselves, and that energy responds to mind and emotion. So that's the scientific angle. Alternatively, you could use the word grace. When people say providence, for example, or grace, as much as we are having our vibrational asking here, we are literally depending on grace or providence to answer it, okay? And in that same spirit, you can use the word God instead, or you can use the word spirit. Whatever word you choose to use, I think you've understood this second segment of our formula or our framework. The third one is that you receive. Receiving is literally aligning with the experience. In other words, you ask, universe answers, you receive. It's staying in alignment with the vibrational offering. In other words, not offering a vibration that is counter to what you really want, okay? So that's what we mean by aligning. And by acting means we're not talking about literally going and making the thing happen. No, we're talking about showing up for the experience, okay? And in its most when you really start to observe this whole process, you start to realize that the universe does the work for you. The universe does the deciding for you. It brings that which you have asked at the right moment, at the right place, in the most magical way. Sometimes you go, oh my God, what a coincidence. This thing just showed up just exactly when I needed it. So the doing and the deciding is pretty much done for you, but you do have to show up and take action when it's your turn, not to make it happen, but to experience it, okay? Now, let's just quickly read through this quote because it has relevance right here in terms of aligning, when we're talking about aligning. 3 are the dwellings of the sons and daughters of man, thought, feeling, and body. When the three become one, you will say to this mountain, move, and the mountain will move. Okay, so that in a nutshell summarizes the idea of aligning. Okay, so moving on, now we're ready to get started and look at the very first challenge that we're going to solve in this webinar. Challenge number one, we're going to troubleshoot the law of attraction when it's not working. We're going to figure out why it's not working and how we're going to fix it. Well, and in a similar way, we're going to look at when manifestation is also not working. How can we fix that? All right. Yeah. So we're going to get into that right now. Right. So here we are. Once again, we're back in the first column. Okay. It says you ask. Typically, we're going to ask for stuff. That's what we usually ask for. A lot of us ask for that, So just to make this example very easy, let's assume you ask for a relationship or a new house, maybe a nice new car, just for an example, okay? What happens then is that the universe is supposed to answer that, okay? And then it's supposed to receive it. And like we said, nothing to do or decide to make it happen, really. It's simply be present for the experience. I'm not advocating laziness here. I mean, obviously, this statement is a lot deeper. I'm not saying you can just sit on a couch and visualize and then a car pops up outside your garage, or necessarily. I mean, there's a bit more to this. What I mean is that you don't have to be the general manager of the universe. That is not your job. Don't take up the job that is meant for the universe. That's all I'm saying. You still need to show up, still need to contribute value to the world, okay? You still need to do that, yeah? But what I'm saying is there is a task that is not yours to do right over there. But that's a different, that's a topic for another time. Let's just keep going with our example. So that's how this is supposed to happen, okay? That's how this is supposed to, that's how we would like it to happen. We'd like that every time we ask for something, pow, pow, we get it, okay? And in fact, science tells us that that's how it's supposed to be, okay? In fact, it's supposed to be instantaneous and simultaneous. Immediately you ask, immediately that thing shows up. That's what science tells us as well, okay? And in fact, there's another principle we need to keep in mind. And that principle states that cause and effect are one. Okay, you cannot separate a cause from its effect. When a cause happens, immediately that means its effect is there. Okay, it cannot be separated. And at cause is a thought, a desire, a wish for something, and the effect is the manifestation of that thing. Okay, so ideally it should be instantaneous and it cannot be separated. It should not fail. Okay, I mean, if cause and effect are one, then sometimes we go, then why am I not getting what I wanted? Okay, but let's not jump the gun, we'll get there. And to further this idea, there's this statement over here, right here, you can see right there, the very first statement at the top. The creator, the act of creation, and whatever is created are also one. This is also another one of the main principles, metaphysical principles that govern life. That the creator, the act of creation, and the created are one. Or you could say in another way, the observer, the act of observation, and the observed are one. That is a very well-known principle of quantum physics as well. Okay? And this extends to the next principle, that an idea can never be separated from its source. Okay? The idea of, let's say, a car, having a car cannot be separate. If you're the one who's having that idea of having a car, then you are destined to have that car, you see? And let's extend this idea further. I don't know whether you've heard this statement before, but Jesus has made this statement once in the Bible, I believe. There's a place where he says, I and my Father are one. This is a child of this idea that an idea can never be separated from its source, or the creator, the creation and the created are one. Okay? So in that way, I and my creations are one. Once again, we're finding principles of the universe that are telling us that we are supposed to have what we have asked for. Okay? Yet, in our life experience, we know that quite often this isn't so. Why? It's a very interesting question. And lastly, let's just say that quantum physics proves, and by the way, I've got a video, it's like about 99 minutes, it's a 99-minute video that I give away free called The Quantum Field. And this is going to prove to you that scientists, famous, well-known scientists, for the last 100 years, everyone from Albert Einstein to current scientists that are, senior professors right now at MIT and Harvard and Stanford and everything, in that video, you're going to watch it. It's a 99-minute video that I give away for free. Once you watch it, you're going to realize that quantum physics, which is a 100-year-old science, it's no longer, conjecture or wishful thinking. It's an actual science, right? It proves that space-time is an illusion. The physical world you see around you and time are both illusions. So this idea that you can be separated from that which you ask for is part of that illusion. Even the idea of separation is within the illusion. I hope you're getting me. What I'm trying to say to you here is there is a science called quantum physics. It is a precise science. It is the most proven science we have today. It is the reason why we even have computers and mobile phones and anything else you can think of that you use today as an advanced society, if you can call it that. We rely on quantum physics. Your computer microchip wouldn't exist if we had not yet understood quantum physics. So this is a very practical science. And it proves that space-time is an illusion. It proves that. Okay? So even the idea of waiting for something that you have asked for is within the concept of time, which, as Einstein clearly proved, and I'll quote him, Einstein said that time, no matter how persistent, is an illusion. It's an illusion like, the illusion that the sun goes around the earth, or, the earth is flat. Those are all optical illusions. We know scientifically they're not there, but our eyes keep telling us that the earth is flat and the sun is going around us and so on. So I guess by now, by this stage of the webinar, I hope by now you've come to understand that by all means, we are supposed to be getting what we asked for, pop, like that, like instantly. Our science is proving it, our metaphysics is proving it, and so on. Okay? So why do we end up waiting? Sometimes we just have to wait. Sometimes we wait quite a while, for whatever it is that we've asked for. Then sometimes the time is so long, we get super frustrated, and then quite often, we don't even get that which we wanted and we had desired, and we don't know. Maybe if we had waited a bit longer, we would have got it. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is it's so long that we think we have failed, that the law of attraction has failed us yet again. And manifestation didn't work. And so we go and Google and we say, oh, law of attraction is not working for me. What do I do? And, we get all frustrated and we're like, why? Why is it not working? And then sometimes it works like so instantaneously. Sometimes we'll have a thought or a wish and we'll forget about it. And then we just turn the corner and pow, it comes true. And we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. The law of attraction works. And then just when we really need it to work, it doesn't work. So what on earth is going on? Okay? What's the problem? Let's have a look. Why does it sometimes appear as if we did not get what we asked for? Why? Let's start with the central column of our framework, or our model that we're using. The central column says the universe answers. Okay? This column never fails. Let's just assume it doesn't fail. Now, I have one caveat over here. The law here says that ask and you shall receive without fail. But there is one, in quotes, exception. It's not really an exception, but let's, in quotes, let's call it an exception. There are times when the universe will give you that which you wished for or something better. In other words, your higher self, your higher power that sees the bigger picture. Remember, this is beyond space and time. While your ego, separated, limited idea of a self, that's the ego, is trapped within space and time. It doesn't have an overall picture of what's up, right? So your higher power, I think you've even had this statement sometimes when people say, when some people, let's say for example, some people say prayers, and when they say prayers, they say, God, give me this or something better. Okay? Or when you look at the New Age movement, when we're talking about creative visualization, some people say, universe, give me this or something better. This is based on the idea that the higher self does sometimes adjust for the lack of better word, adjust our desire, so we have that which we desired. So we have something better, okay, than that which we desired. Never something worse. It doesn't work like that. Never something worse. So that's why I said it's an exception in quotes, because literally it's not ignored. You're simply being given something better, okay? So we know that column doesn't work. So that leaves us with just two columns. Okay, two columns to look at. This is the first column, you ask. Now here we start to find two reasons why sometimes it appears as if we did not get that which we asked for. Okay, we start to see the first two reasons. The first one is the one we all know of, lack of clarity. When, for example, you focus on what you don't want instead of focusing on what you do want, you're already vibrating on the level of what you don't want. For example, if you keep going around, let's say like you spend a whole year thinking, all my relationships are abusive, I don't want another abusive relationship. Spend a whole year thinking that, and that's all you're focusing on, what you don't want, abusive relationships. That's what you're vibrating, so that's what you're gonna get. And then you're gonna think, how come every time I get a relationship, they turn out to be abusive? Because you're focusing on what you don't want. So that's one example of lack of clarity. Another example is, for example, oh, I really want to go on vacation, but oh, I cannot leave my work unattended. You see, that's lack of clarity. So I think you've got that. Let's move on. The second one is one that a lot of us don't really pay attention to, yet it is the single biggest reason why the law of attraction appears not to work. This is the inner child wound. The inner child is that part of us which is ultimately alive. Okay, it is unconditional love, unbounded. It is, who we really are, you could say, our pure true essence. Another way of explaining the inner child is actually to look at the opposite, what it is not. The ego is what it is not. The ego is something else. The ego is a false identity, it's a false sense of self. It is a mask. It is a very tiny limited idea based on fear, a separated idea of self. Okay, it's fear-based. So that's a contrast. So the inner child wounds. Let me give you a very quick example of how the inner child gets wounded. And this is a very rough, quick example. Just thinking of it right now on the webinar. Imagine as a little infant just born, okay? Your vibration is to, you still don't know words, you still don't know language, you still don't know symbols even. You've just sort of been born, right? And you're emanating unconditional love, and you're sort of feeling the vibrations coming back, okay? You're kind of like a radar or sonar, okay? And then let's say, for example, your caretaker or whoever is raising you, there's some people who are very, very, they're how can you say this? They're afraid of intimacy or afraid of close bonds. There's some people who are just, maybe they were rejected a long time ago as in their childhood. And so they carry that feeling of like, I don't want to be close to anybody in case I'm rejected again. So they are incapable of freely receiving love. Or there are other people who are always anxious about the future, or anxious about, they're just anxious about everything. Yeah, so imagine maybe your caretaker was that anxious person, or that person who can't receive love freely and bounce it back. So your vibration goes out and it meets anxiety, and then it comes back, your sonar comes back to you as a sort of like a sense of anxiety as well. And you start to think, you form this concept that, oh my God, if I show love, I will be rejected, or I will find, or I make my caretaker, who's responsible for actually taking care of me, I make them anxious. So for my own safety, let me no longer broadcast love. That's an example of how the inner child develops a wound. And there's so many examples. I mean, when you think of your own childhood and upbringing, I'm sure there's so many little things that you picked up here and there. Some of them are very positive. Some of them are still plaguing you now. We all have little issues. These issues are what we're referring to here as the inner child wounds, the wounds of the inner child, rather. So in a nutshell, you can summarize them and say that they are the subconscious resistance that we have within ourselves. For example, fear of abandonment, or a worldview that comes from a position of being a victim, or maybe poor self-image, emotional imprisonment of some kind, and so on. Now, the reason why these are the single biggest reason for the law of attraction not working is, remember we said that 24/7, you're always emanating a vibration and the universe is always answering that vibration. Well, your subconscious resistance, this, let's say, fear of abandonment or victim worldview or whatever, is always ringing. So if, let's say, you have a poor self-image and you feel that you don't deserve good things, and at the same time you're trying to visualize and attract a good life, but your inner child is like, no, I don't deserve that, Can you understand how now you have conflicting, you're already back in that lack of clarity place. You have conflicting vibrations that are causing the manifestation of, I don't deserve that. And so that is what is appearing to you as if the law of attraction has broken. But actually what the problem is this inner child, the wounds, what they are vibrating, and therefore canceling your conscious vibration. And remember, these are going on 24/7. Okay, maybe you consciously think once in a while during the day, I would love a great life, but 24/7 this is working. So guess what happens? This one wins, the inner child wounds. So if you want to fix the law of attraction, literally you have to sort out, heal your inner child wounds. You've got to do that. Yeah, and we'll talk about how to do that. Okay. Now, on the you receive part, once again, what do we see as a main cause of manifestation not working? Once again, we see the inner child wounds again. They show up again. In the same breath, imagine you had asked for a great life, but you feel you don't deserve it. Yeah? So that messes again with the aligning. You're unable to align properly with that vibration of a good life. I hope you're starting to see really clearly how big a part the inner child wounds play in our lives. Okay? Hope you're starting to see that very, very clearly, right? Now, the next question to ask is, why does time happen to us? We already said that space-time is an illusion and everything happens instantly. The cause and the effect are like one and the same thing, pop, okay? And science proves it. So, why do we experience time? This whole waiting thing. Once again, the central column has nothing, we can leave that out. Look at the you ask part. Scientifically speaking, time is an aspect of mind. Where there is no consciousness, there is no time. Like I said, that video, 99-minute video, explains this, goes into depth into this seriously. And, you get to hear guest speakers from, MIT, Stanford and everything, and they're going to really easily explain this. So I'm not going to get into the explanation of it here, this webinar. You're just going to have to take my word for it and then go confirm once you get to the free video that I'm talking about. But the idea here is to know that time is actually an aspect of the mind, okay? Now, have you ever heard a lot of our teachers and gurus, or whatever you want to call them, they're always telling us, stay in the present, be in the here now, be fully present. And then also a lot of them say that once you're there, literally this whole idea of like, fear and waiting and whatever disappears. Your desires are fulfilled instantly, and you tend to desire only what is necessary at a time. And we're not saying like that makes you start living like a monk on bare minimums, no. But by necessary means this whole idea that, oh, I'm gonna worry about next year, so let me save up $100,000 and then let me do all this thing. That kind of stuff disappears because you're always safe instantly in every moment in the here now. But it's how many people do you know who are present in the here now? It's so as a human being, the way we've just conditioned ourselves as a society, it's just so rare to find a being that is fully present in the here now. Okay, most of us, we sort of live in the past and the future. We live in our minds. As long as you're in your mind, you're in the past or the future. Your mind, that self-talk, that stuff, that conversation that you have in your head cannot, I repeat the word, cannot exist in the here now. It cannot. As long as you have a conversation going on in your head, you're not present. You're in the past, you're projecting in the past or in the future. That's what you're doing. Okay. Now it is this projection, this being in our minds, that creates the experience of time. Okay. That explains why we experience time. Remember, the universe always answers. So as long as we're in the, let me give you a quick example. Let's say you desire, let's keep it simple. I want a new car, for example. Already in that statement, you have attested that you and the car are separate. You have also attested your belief that you do not have the car. Then you've already suggested to yourself that there is a waiting period and XYZ. Already in that set of belief, we've just mentioned, separation, not having, waiting, that belief will be translated by the universe to create the experience of time. You see? So you end up creating time in your asking, by wanting, desperation, neediness, that belief. Wanting pretty much represents the idea that you are separate from that which you desire. That is wanting. Okay? It's the opposite of the belief that you already have it. Okay? And you cannot force this, I believe. You cannot just start saying, I have it. It's a conviction. It's a certainty. It is not fool yourself game. It's a knowing. Okay? So, anyways, so you can create time in that, and you can also create time through things like fear, feeling unworthy, impatience, and so on. Because all these things are being answered by the universe. Remember what we said. The universe does not select, I'll give you this but not this, all right? It just answers the total vibration. It's got some fail-safes, it doesn't totally let us completely damage ourselves, but it's a long way down before we're at a place where we can totally damage ourselves. So, it lets us go as we want. If we want to suffer and wait and stay wanting and desperate and neediness, it lets us have it. It doesn't mind. At the end of the day, that doesn't affect anything. So, it's okay. That's the experience you're vibrating. That's the experience you're going to get. So that's how time happens to us. Okay? I hope that's clear. So, right, look, as we've seen, if the universe is built to literally answer us instantly and give us precisely what we vibrate and want, if it's so easy, if it's built that way already, done for us, why do we mess ourselves up? Why do we develop such craziness like a subconscious wounded inner child that is vibrating against our wishes? Why do we get into fear when there's really nothing to fear? If, kind of like we are sort of like in charge of our lives in a way, why do we all this? Why do we mess ourselves up? Look, ultimately, it comes from not remembering who we really are. Who we really are. And this goes beyond being human. This goes beyond, that idea of I'm a human being. Okay? It goes beyond that. It's at the level of spirit. Okay, we've come to adopt an identity of ourselves that is so limited, and we've thrown away who we really are. Okay, and that is as a result of the illusion of separation, and that's what leads to the wounded inner child. That's what leads to a false ego, a false sense of self. The ego or the mask. And all this is supported by a defeated mind, and emotional imprisonment or frozen energy. That's the opposite of emotional vulnerability, an open, we get closed up rather. And there are emotions, certain emotions that we avoid or try to kill or make sure that they don't touch us. And remember, we say that emotions are our subconscious thoughts or beliefs bubbling up to the surface. So imagine if that's something that's coming from you, and you're trying to get rid of it and kill it, and yet it's you. Do you see? That's a broken kind of system right over there. And all this results in us, hiding some things, and that's why we have a conscious and a subconscious. And that whole thing ends up creating conflict, lack of clarity, and insufficiency, scarcity, and all that stuff. Okay, so these are all covered somewhere else. We can't cover this in this webinar. Let's just keep moving because we're trying to get an overall idea in this webinar. The details can come later. So how do we fix this? In the you ask column, obviously you heal your inner child. Okay, now how do you heal your inner child? It's actually quite easy. We're not going to cover it in this webinar, but what happens is you bring to the table an undefeated mind and emotional vulnerability. Undefeated mind means this: when you face a challenge, you embrace it. The obstacle is the way. Okay, by embracing that challenge, you literally discover yourself. The problem is many of us run away from problems. We see problems as something to be killed and avoided. But an undefeated mind actually celebrates problems, because those are the gateway to discovering aspects of ourselves that we've hidden from ourselves. That's an undefeated mind. Okay, and we cover that later. Again, this webinar, there's not enough time to cover that. I just want to give you a definition of what we're talking about. The second thing is emotional vulnerability, and that means invulnerability is when we defend ourselves. We try to become impermeable, invulnerable. We try to become strong. But in essence, what we're doing is putting ourselves in a little cage, okay, and trying to keep the rest of the world outside so we don't feel certain things, okay? So vulnerability is the opposite. We knock down the cage, we get rid of the walls, and we allow that energy to flow freely. Can you see the advantage of flow? When you let energy flow, it means you're allowing it to transform, to change, to grow. But when you freeze it up, that means you're freezing it in time. Issues remain as they are. They don't change. Whatever issue that you froze maybe 20 years ago is still with you now, 20 years later. But when you embrace vulnerability, especially supported by an undefeated mind, then that energy goes into motion, it flows, and that moment that was frozen is gone forever. Transformation happens, and you're never going to face that thing again, you see? And with all this, you need grace, okay? You need grace. Remember in the central column over here, the one the universe answered, we talked about grace. So whatever word you want to use, the higher power, God, serendipity, grace, whatever, you need it. It definitely, you need it because Einstein once said that a problem cannot be solved at the level that created it. You need a higher power to sort of help you go beyond the level where you are, because that's what it created the problem. Okay, the problem is rarely ever the problem. The problem is that you don't know how to think about the problem. That's usually the problem itself, not the problem itself. Problem itself is never the problem. The problem is that you don't know how to think about the problem. You get, or you don't know how to feel about it. So grace helps you transcend your own limitation. And obviously, learning how to clarify your vision also fixes the mistakes that we saw in this column. Now, the second column, it's a good idea for you to become aligned with your higher self or your higher power, or what you want to call grace, energy, God, spirit, providence. it's a good idea to understand who you really are and to start to separate illusion from reality, okay? To start to see through so that you're not fooled by your own perception. And it's good to understand quantum energy or how energy works, because then, that's a scientific approach as well. So it complements the faith approach. And that way you get to realize, oh, the universe is very fluid. It really counters the idea that is in most of our minds that the universe is fixed, and or even worse, that the universe, life happens to us, okay? So that's another way to fix this, understanding how life actually works and understanding who we really are, okay? And once again, you also fix the receiving portion. You make yourself open to receiving, once again, by healing your inner child. This inner child is at the key to so many things, okay? And we'll see it so often in this webinar and everything that we do. Okay, now, how do we do these things we've said? We've said, how do we fix this? We do this and this and this. How do we do that? Well, there's quite a bit to know, but I've got this program. It's called The Power of One. It's a set of videos that actually addresses each one of those questions or solutions. It gives you solutions in video form. You just click play and you watch. And in the You Ask For column, we have the following modules to address that. We've got a module on how to heal your inner child. We've got a module on how to cultivate an undefeated mind. And we've got a module on cultivating emotional vulnerability. And we've got a module on becoming clear on your focus, on your vision, okay? So developing clarity, rather. Under the Universe Answers, these are the two modules that will help you with that, to help you totally understand it, so that you become this information, you become the solution itself. There's a module, the one I was talking about, 99 minutes. This one is, I give this one away free. This one is given away free, and also the Undefeated Mind is also given away free. There's a free option for that, or you can just get the whole set. But anyways, the quantum field is going to really show you what's the latest science on how the universe works. This is really going to blow your mind, literally. And then A Course in Miracles is literally a release from the illusions of separation, the illusions about who we are. So this starts to open up your mind as to, so that you can start to see who you really are. And not just your mind, but your whole sense of being. In fact, it's about dropping your ego mind. That's what it's about. And then you've got this other column of, you receive. And once again, it's the same modules. Healing your inner child, cultivating an undefeated mind, and powering through, gaining, unleashing your power through cultivating emotional vulnerability. Okay? So that's about it. I hope you can start to see how that covers the whole idea of troubleshooting the law of attraction not working, and in that way fixing broken manifestation. Okay, because now we looked at the problem. I think we understood the whole concept of space and time. We understood the concept of the inner child and why we keep vibrating in a way that is contrary to what we consciously desire, and we understood how to fix it. So I hope you've got a general idea of why the law of attraction seems to be not working, and how we can fix so-called broken manifestation. It all pretty much all lies down to two small little things, or three things, I would say. The inner child. The wounds of the inner child are attracting to you life experiences and circumstances that match those wounds. They keep coming back over and over and over again, and the reason why they keep coming back is they're trying to give you an opportunity, a chance to heal that wound. That's why you keep asking yourself, why does this particular issue keep coming back to me over and over and over again? It's knocking on your door saying, hello, I'm still wounded, let's sort this out. Okay, and once you do it, it's actually very simple. Once you do it, you can get it done in a very short period of time. That issue leaves you forever, and then from then on you're free of it. Okay, and the other one is not being clear, and not being clear has a lot to do, once again, with the inner child. All right, and then the third one is not really having faith in the higher power and how the universe works. Just, if you don't believe it can work for you because you don't understand how it works, you'll tend to sabotage yourself. You'll tend to think of yourself as a victim. And that's why it's so important to really understand how does life work. And that's what that quantum module and the Course in Miracles helps you with. Because once you understand that, your mind will no longer trick you into accepting limitations. So let's look at the second challenge that we had, finding your meaning, purpose, and unique value in life. Symptoms of lost purpose or meaning. Have you ever felt any of these things? Maybe deep within you, you've just felt there's gotta be something more to life than this. Or have you ever felt, as if your work is meaningless, or as if life doesn't seem to have a meaning or a purpose? You just felt like, blah. What's life about? Is it just about going through the motions and going to work and then coming back home and having dinner and whatever, playing with the kids and then going to sleep and then repeating the process again for 40 years? Is that it? Or have you ever felt that maybe you're not making the contribution you feel you're capable of? Maybe you feel that inside you something is just scratching and telling you you can do something else. There's this, you can make big meaning, but maybe what you're doing today is not fulfilling that desire. So you feel a little bit frustrated. Or have you ever felt lost, confused, unfulfilled, directionless, or even disconnected from life and the goings on of life, to say? Have you ever felt that? Or maybe have you ever kept asking yourself, what am I missing? What am I supposed to be and do? Any of these questions are indicators that you're sort of searching for meaning. Yeah. Or you can ask you, in a nutshell, have you ever felt lack of alignment with something greater than you? Yet you've somehow also felt that thing that you're saying is greater than you is you all the same. So it's a very weird feeling or place to be in. So if you've ever felt this and you're looking for meaning in life, let's get into it. Let's have a look at how we can find it. Now, first of all, before we get into how we can find meaning in life, let's first ask, why is this happening to us? Why are we feeling lost? I mean, should we already automatically know what our life meaning is? Shouldn't that just be obvious? Okay. Well, let's start with the model, the column. The column whereby we say, you ask. And by the way, when I say asking, I'm talking about the vibration that you're emanating. Okay. Because the vibration you're emanating is what's creating your life experience. Okay. Now, if that is the case, we have to wonder, what vibration are we giving out? Because if that's the one that's causing our life experience, and our life experience is making us feel these things, then we have to start there. What vibration are we giving out? Well, to answer that, we have to first understand, what have we been conditioned to be and to do, since we started growing up to this date. Well, in our society today, quite often we've been conditioned to be someone other than who we really are. Quite often we're told, go to school, learn this, memorize that, be this kind of a person. A TV is telling us, be that. The adverts are telling us, be that. Our society is telling us, be that kind of a person. Our parents and our school and our jobs, everyone is telling us, be someone else other than who you really are. It's just telling you, comply, okay? So already that vibration has thrown us off from our true self. And then we've been told to struggle for abundance any which way. We've not been told, we've been conditioned that, look, go get a job. No, go to school first, learn this standard curriculum, then go out into the society. Society has this standard set of jobs. Pick one. And quite often, that one you're supposed to pick is influenced not by your inner being, but by what you've been told you should be, or this or that or the other, or whatever, The need for money. Sometimes, imagine there's some careers which need years of practice before you become a master. And once you've achieved mastery, that's when you start earning money. But in today's society, we have to earn money from day one when we leave college, or maybe even earlier. Otherwise, we don't eat. So we sacrifice that which is a normal inner gift in exchange for the security of having some kind of income today. So we have been conditioned to struggle for abundance any which way. Okay, and then we've been conditioned to fix our weaknesses, like, you know, maybe you're, let's just take a very simple, broad example. Maybe you're an introvert. That's your way. Yeah. But then society is telling you, no, you have to be extroverted. You have to go out and network, you know. But that's not your way. So you're being told to fix, in quotes, your weaknesses, in quotes. Instead of being told, embrace who you really are, quite often we're told, go fix our weaknesses. Now, let me ask you this. Is it easier to come from mediocrity? Because if you're weak at something, you're mediocre at it. Is it easier to come from mediocrity to normal? Or is it easier to go from, let's say, something you're already strong at, your strengths, to excellence? Obviously, it's easier to go from strength to excellence, you know, because usually you're strong at that which you're born to be strong at, and that which you're strong at usually is something that you really like. It's your passion, it's your thing. Yeah? So it's very easy to improve on it. But to go fixing your weaknesses and try to become good at them and actually try to beat somebody who's already in love with that thing which you hate and therefore are weak at, you can't beat them. Okay? So already that's another vibration that's emanating that's off center. And we have also been conditioned to regard our passions as distractions, something to be done on weekends or as hobbies or once we retire. Yeah? This is quite opposite to the idea way back in the past, way back, I'm talking way back before the Industrial Revolution, whereby we would look at our passions and then would find a master who's already mastered that which we're passionate about, would become their apprentice, and through this apprenticeship we would develop that passion up until we attain mastery, and then that way we can contribute it to the societies and we can get very handsomely rewarded for it. Nowadays, there seems to be this short-term lifestyle where if your passions don't fit within the so-called corporate box or the standard, whatever the standard is in your area of this planet, wherever you live, if they don't fit there, we're sort of told, no, just go to school and pick a normal job, you know, be a doctor, architect, whatever it is, or, you know, any one of the degree choices. And your passions, oh, those are just hobbies. That's stuff you do on the weekend or when you retire, you'll do it. So we've been conditioned to regard passions as distractions. And we've also been conditioned to face life from our ego or our mask instead of from our inner child. When you're authentic, when you're free and you're loving and you're dancing and you're open and you're, you know, you're whatever, you're considered not cool. You're supposed to be cool. You're supposed to blend in and, you know, don't embarrass yourself, all right? Just blend in. You know, put on that mask and then interact with life from the mask, you have to front in a way. Authenticity is sort of regarded as weakness. Vulnerability is regarded as weakness. So these are the things that are offering a vibration that is already taking us off center, okay? Now, look, I'm sure there's some people with life purposes that, you know, are outside of this. For example, let's take an extreme case. During World War II, there was a lot of people who were put into concentration camps. And out of those, the survivors, some of them have come to really, really advance humanity forward precisely because of the experience they had in those concentration camps. So, you know, they had a different life purpose. So I suppose we didn't really cover that in this generalized idea that we're talking about here. But I think for many of us watching this webinar, this really we can identify with, okay? So, you know, I'm sure there are people who have life purposes that are so extreme, or not extreme, but sort of outside this sort of, I don't know whether the word common is correct, but this common experience here outside of it, okay? Now, again, we're still on the topic, why is this happening to us? Why are we feeling lost or purposeless now? In this column, we have once again been conditioned to disregard who we really are. Once again, who we really are is something beyond our human experience. We're talking about spirit, or beyond, you understand, beyond that sense of a limited self that you have called David or Jane or whatever. You see, that's what I mean when I say who we really are. We've been taught to disregard it, to think of it as not real, as something to think about when we die, maybe. That's not, forget about that, or don't take it so seriously. What you really need to focus on right now is to earn some money to pay your bills and look after your kids. This is not something, this is a sideshow as well, That's the conditioning that is quite prevalent. We've also been conditioned to think of space-time as objective, concrete realities. By that I mean, Einstein said that time, however persistent, is an illusion. But we've been conditioned to take time as real. It is real. And space, or rather physical reality, is also real. It doesn't, it's an objective, independent reality. It's independent of us. In other words, life happens to us. We're sort of like a victim of it. Yeah, and then you can't change it. It's just a concrete reality. It's independent of you. This is very different, a very different idea of looking at life from what science is actually proving that it is. When you look at quantum physics, you realize this perspective is a lie. Either this perspective is a lie or quantum physics is a lie, because they're totally opposite. Quantum physics says we are not victims, we are co-creators in life. Space-time is an illusion. Nothing is an objective reality. It is a subjective reality, okay? And it's not concrete at all. So either our perception is lying to us, or rather the cultural story that we've got, or quantum physics is lying, because they're totally opposite, but one is lying, okay? Then the other thing over here we've been conditioned to, that is sort of messing with our idea, with our ability to find our life purpose, meaning in life, is that we've, once again, just like disregarding who we really are, it's this sense of a disconnect or disregard of spirit, okay? Or maybe we do it on the weekend, on Sunday, or a few minutes in a day, then the rest of the day we sort of forget about it, This disconnect from spirit, disconnect from who we really are, don't you think that has an effect on meaning and purpose of life? Think about this. If the non-physical is the mother of the physical, yet the physical disconnects itself from the non-physical, wouldn't you think that would cause a problem? Okay, so these are just how can I say, major key things that you need to sort of consider. And then in the column of you receive, things that put us off center is, again, we have been conditioned to take what we can get. Yeah, whatever job you get, whatever money you get, whatever, forget about it. Just take it. That's what you can get. Sort of compromise, and we belittle ourselves. We have been conditioned to do what it takes to fit in. So instead of being authentic and showing, our uniqueness, we sort of just cover it down, keep your head low, and just fit in, blend in. The big one is we've been conditioned to serve the ego instead of spirit or our true self, or big brother. By big brother, I mean, the whole complex that we call our civilized society today. Everything from the adverts that we see to what the government tells us, to what we're told to be in school, to our religions, whatever. That's big brother. So we refer to the outside instead of listening to our true voice from within. Okay? Then we've been conditioned to face life as a victim or a pawn instead of as a creator, which is what we really are. So imagine that you really are a creator, and that can never be changed, but you believe yourself to be a victim or pawn. That means that you're creating the experience of victim or pawn yourself. Because you've been convinced that's the way who you are, then you keep creating it. And only you can ever free yourself by simply realizing who you really are. Okay? And again, this comes along with the whole inner child thing that we talked previously about in the first segment, that, we become emotionally frozen. Now, if you're emotionally frozen, if you're not vulnerable, if you're not allowing your emotions to flow, that means small little fears, avoiding certain emotions, being afraid, will prevent you from flowing. And when you can't flow, you can't realize your purpose. You can't realize your meaning in life. You become stuck. Okay. And again, this whole idea of escaping from problems, once again, that's kind of like, this is about the emotional vulnerability, and this is about the undefeated mind. When you have a defeated mind, that's a mind that wants to escape from problems. An undefeated mind is one that embraces problems. It eats them for breakfast. It loves them because it knows that is the problem is simply an opportunity to discover more of who we are. Okay? When you run away from it, your mind is looking for strategies to escape, and your emotions are like looking for strategies to make sure they don't feel certain things. Then you can't grow, you can't flow, and you can't realize your purpose. And remember, we said the life purpose changes moment to moment, person to person. So you need to be able to flow to be able to experience this. And as we saw in the previous segment, ultimately this comes from not remembering who we really are, which is a result of the illusion of separation, and that leads to the wounded inner child, and which also leads to a false self or the ego mask, and that's supported by a defeated mind and emotional, imprisonment, and it results in this whole idea of having a conscious and a subconscious. That we try and hide all the stuff that we don't want to face or we don't want to know about ourselves, and so on. But again, this webinar is too short for us to cover this, but I hope that general idea gives you a general idea. So the question then is, how do we fix this? In the You Ask column, you need to start vibrating true to your natural, true self. How do you vibrate true to who you are? How do you do that? Well, look, there's a lot to be said about this, but here I tend to focus on the idea of abundance, okay? Because that's the angle that I like to look at life from, in terms of abundance. But you can still use these principles when it comes to, let's say, relationship, health, and so on. But my angle is abundance. So that's how I'm going to approach this, and that's why we have these 4 things over here in front of us: natural genius, natural path to abundance, strengths, and passions. Okay. How do we make sure that we are vibrating? We've aligned our asking vibration in line with who we really are, so that we can experience a life whereby we're literally experiencing our purpose. Okay. Well, first we have to align with our natural genius. We all have a natural genius. We're either creators or we're good at people. We're good at look. There's about 5 questions in life: who, what, where, when, and why. Each one of us is built to specifically answer one of those very, very well. And in answering that, there's a whole universe of things that go along with the question, who is supposed to do this? Or let's start with a creator. For example, my natural genius is I'm a creator. Okay? Somebody else is something else. All right? I've got friends who are very good at people. I've got other friends who are very good at timing. Other friends who are very good at measuring and making sure things are stable, managing and all that sort of stuff. There's so many there are about 5 aspects of life: who, what, where, when, and why. These are the 5 aspects of life. Okay. I answer the question, what is needed. As a creator, that's my function. Now, this webinar is too short to go into this. I'm just trying to tell you that each one of us has a function that is related to those 5 questions. And it is our natural function. It is our natural genius. Unfortunately, we don't know it, so we try and just copy everyone else's, and we fail at it because those other ones are not our natural geniuses. Do you understand? So knowing what your natural genius is and all the things that go into it, because there's quite a bit that goes into it, and then just playing and living life by that, you realize that all of a sudden you're super successful. You're great. I'm great at creating stuff. Okay? Whenever I do that, whenever I create, I tend to just flow. I like it. It energizes me. Okay? Do you understand what I mean? Just think of this. Think of Bill Gates is also another creator, or Steve Jobs of Apple. What if Steve Jobs, instead of creating, he said, oh, I know I'm going to try my hand at making deals like Donald Trump, or I'm going to try and be a super sports player. he's gonna lose. It's not his thing. He can enjoy sports, or he can enjoy making a deal or two here, but his natural talent is to create stuff. You understand? So, and a lot of creators have been sort of discouraged from creating when they were small. They're told, oh, that doesn't look great. Forget about that. You don't have talent. Of course, when you're small, you're still growing. But a lot of creators have abandoned that, and they've tried to be something that they're not. And that's just one of the many, the several natural geniuses that we all have. So do you see how understanding what your natural genius is and then going back to it and then developing it, that comes from within. By doing that, you start to vibrate in your natural point of strength, you could say. And then also, we all have a natural path to abundance. If you think of, pick any 5 people in your life that you know that are abundant, and try and pick different kinds of people. Okay, don't pick all of them from the same circle of friends. Okay, you can pick them from the same circle of friends, but the point is this: do they all do the same thing? Just think of any 5 people. Maybe you know them, maybe you see them on TV. Do they all do the same thing? The answer is no. They each do different things, and they follow their natural path. And then ask yourself a second question: if, let's say, person A tried to do person B's thing, would they still be successful? Most likely the answer would be no. Person A has to stick with their thing. That's what makes them successful. If they throw away their thing and try and do somebody else's thing, they won't. So there is such a thing as a natural path to abundance. And then there's strengths. There are strengths that you're born with, strengths that you develop. Strengths are things that you do that are easy for you that other people find difficult. And you can do them all day. Then you get tired, you go to bed, you wake up the next day, you're happy to do it again. You're fine. And they're very closely sort of related to passions. They're not always related, but sometimes they are. But passions are like a way of life. Some people are passionate about the great outdoors. Some of them are passionate about water, marine life, or some of them are passionate about art. Some are, you see, we all have different passions. Embracing that. So if you can live your life from these 4, you will attain abundance. Your vibration will be in line with your nature, and you will enjoy a life whereby you feel you're fulfilled because you're living by your purpose. Because think about this: why would you be given certain passion, strengths, abundance, and genius, particular ones that I wasn't given? You were given those. Why would life have decided to give you those if they weren't part of your purpose? Of course they are part of your purpose. So when you ignore them, you're already outside of your purpose. So just by getting in there and following them, you join you unleash your purpose. You start living according to your purpose. And again, you become a mirror of your spirit by healing your inner child. We've already talked about this inner child thing. We don't need to talk about it again. Just refer to the previous presentation on it. But once your inner child is healed, remember, it no longer now has to follow the whims of the issues that are giving it problems, okay? It's now clear. So it becomes a mirror of your spirit, and you'll be surprised how powerful it is. So once the wounds are gone, it is a pure, perfect mirror that reflects your spirit, and it is ultimately powerful. It's such a powerful thing. Now, universe answers. Understand who you really are. Okay? Once again, we've talked about this. And then understand quantum energy. Once again, we don't need to delve into this. We've addressed it. Just refer to the previous explanation earlier on. And on the you receive column, once again, the inner child. The inner child keeps coming back, right? It keeps coming back. This is it. Once you start to understand, this is it. Yeah, healing your inner child, developing an undefeated mind and emotional vulnerability, and doing the things that you need to do to heal your inner child. This will really free you. This will really start to unlock your life, and also understanding who you really are and understanding quantum energy. And so you cannot really discover your purpose, your meaning in life, if you're busy living through life through your inner child wounds, through your subconscious issues. So once you heal those, all of a sudden, purpose, you just remember who you really are, and purpose just flows through you. So to help you do all those, once again, in the Power of One package, we've got these certain modules. We've got a module called Know Your Unique Value that addresses the natural genius, the natural path to abundance, strengths, and passions. That is addressed in this module right here, Know Your Unique Value. Then, of course, we have the modules you've seen in the previous explanation, the one on healing your inner child, cultivating an undefeated mind, and the one on cultivating emotional vulnerability. In the second column, we've got our Course in Miracles module, which is a release from the illusion of separation, and we've got the quantum field module, which really makes us understand clearly how the universe works. This is a purely science module, okay? It's amazing. And once again, in You Receive, these three modules come back: inner child, emotional vulnerability, and undefeated mind. So I hope you've got an idea of how you can find your meaning, purpose, and unique value. And once you start doing that, you'll be surprised at the feeling of fulfillment that you get. Now, next we're going to talk about finding a sure path to financial security and independence, financial independence and generally abundance. And one thing you're going to notice is that it's very, very closely related to what we've just talked about on meaning, purpose, and unique value. They're very, very closely related because abundance seems to come from when we're living in meaning, purpose, and value. And sometimes abundance doesn't necessarily have to show up in cash. I mean, think about this. If everything in life was sorted for you without the use of cash, would you still need cash? Okay. But in any case, let's just address it all as one: financial security, independence, and abundance. Whether it involves money or not, at least you are living abundantly. So we are going to look at that now. Right. So let's get right into it. Let's just dive right into it. Find a sure path to financial security, independence, and abundance. Now, once again, we go to our model, okay? And we start with the You Ask column. In this column, this is how we are currently asking, or rather, this is how our vibration is at the moment for many of us in today's society. Up here we see the rat race, okay? I think we're all familiar with this. And all the complaints and everything we talk, the conversation we live in as a society about this, gotta go to job, gotta go to work, I'm so stressed, I can't get out of this, I gotta do this, Jesus Christ, this is difficult, or I hate my job. There are very, very few people who actually love their job, like truly love their job. And there are also very few people who can choose when they want to work and when they need to rest and play. It's sort of like they have to stay on the treadmill. Otherwise, everything collapses, you see. And quite often, a lot of us don't even, the work that we do it, right? Maybe we might even enjoy segments of it, or we might like our co-workers or something about it. But we don't really feel that it is meaningful work to us. Meaningful work is when you feel you're really making a contribution. Some of us do have meaningful work, but a great many don't. We just sort of have a job, So this vibration that we're giving out, I hope you can start to see the universe will always return the vibration that you gave out. It will always return it back to you as a life experience. So if this is the conversation that we live in, this whole, I'm stressed, job is crazy, I can't stop, or my job, I don't want to go to work, but I gotta go to work. It's sort of like it's not exactly a very fulfilling vibration, is it? Right? And then at the same time, we got this other idea here. You see this guy over here. He's trying to make get some distance going, but he's got a very small little tricycle. So you can imagine all the power. It's very uncomfortable first of all, and he has to pedal so much to make very, very short little gains. So this whole idea of power versus force, you want to do something by force rather than sort of attract it, sort of like have the universe help you, or and so on, or generally the idea of power versus force. Force is when you're sort of forcing issues, forcing things. You're using your sort of ego strength, your character to push it through. And then power is much bigger than that, much grander than that. Okay, power implies leverage. Force implies, you against the world kind of thing, and it's sort of translates to the whole idea of doing versus being. Yeah? A lot of us try to do our way into manifestation instead of being that which we want to manifest. Remember, when you are something, your whole life resolves to give you that experience of that which you are. Whereas doing is the hard way. It's literally using your personal energy to get manifestation going. It's exhausting, the results are meager, and so on. So being is more powerful. Being, power, they go together. Being and power. Force and doing, they go together. And the final thing is this whole idea of ignorance versus knowledge. Many of us don't really know how to effect abundance. For example, we don't know how to invest like the rich. You know, it's the ultra wealthy. They put their money into things that leverage that money. They make their money work for them. For example, yeah, the poor tend to struggle for money. The middle class tends to work for money. The rich tends to have money working for them. You see, and all this boils down to ignorance versus knowledge. Even to know what leverage to use, to know what structures to use, that's all ignorance versus knowledge, okay? So when our knowledge is failing us, and when our knowledge is telling us we have to work 18 hours a day to get some kind of a money, that vibration already is one of a victim, and that's what we're emanating. And the universe is just going to answer that, okay? It's just going to answer, the universe is going to answer it, and the experience that we're going to receive is, you know, money becomes our master instead of we being the masters of our money. So we see, you can see here the money pulling this fellow down, basically drowning. You can imagine what this guy is thinking about while he's in this position. In his mind, the whole time, he's thinking about the weight attached to this leg. See? How many of us spend a lot of our day thinking about money? I don't have money, or I hope I get money enough to reach there. And, you know, money, 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 money. Oh, I gotta go to work, money, money. You know, it's like that. Okay? So we become the slave of money. Okay? And that is a direct result of this whole vibration right here. And then, you know, we experience things like drowning in bills and debt and so on. Yeah? So, once again, why is this happening to us? Just like in the segment that we just discussed, we discussed about, you know, a life of meaning and purpose. We've been conditioned to be someone other than who we are. We're not going to repeat this because we already talked about it in the purpose when we were looking at, you know, purpose. So we're just going to quickly go through this. Being someone other than who we are. Struggling for abundance any which way, fixing our weaknesses, regarding passions as distractions. These are the things that are causing us to sort of struggle in a rat race rather than come from a place of power, okay? And then our education also excludes knowledge on how to move up the wealth ladder. I'll give you a quick example. Moving up the wealth ladder, you can think of it as 3 broad stages. There's a place where we learn how to manage our personal finances. Then there's a stage where we learn how to manage an enterprise. In other words, we start to leverage by getting together a team or people that can help us, you know. Have you ever had a rich person say that no one ever got rich by themselves? Yeah? This is what we're talking about when we talk about moving up the wealth ladder. A lot of us, sorry about that, that's just a small notification. A lot of us, we sort of have never gotten over the idea of being independent and doing our own thing. It scares us to think of working together and getting a team together and forming a network, working as a team. Yet that is part of the whole idea of moving up the wealth ladder. Okay, that's part of the enterprise idea, coming up from the whole personal, I'm just a one-man show idea, moving up the ladder to the enterprise level. And then even further than that, there's societal wealth, okay? So there's these ladders, and no one teaches us that stuff, right? You sort of have to bump into it by mistake in a way, or grow up in a wealthy family to really understand that. Our education teaches us to get a job, to be part of a small cog in the big machine. So we are ignorant in that way. And knowledge is power. The minute you have knowledge and you know what to do, you'll do it. You'll go up. It's not a big deal. But when you don't even know what to do, you tend to stay where you are. In fact, you tend to fight the knowledge that could rescue you. Yeah. So we don't have that knowledge on how to move up the wealth ladder. Our education doesn't teach us. And by education, I mean school, but also our parents. If our parents don't know it, they can't teach it to us. It's not their fault. Okay. And then knowledge on how to invest like the rich. And by invest like the rich, I'm not talking about which shares to buy and so on. I'm talking about small little details that mean everything. For example, the whole idea of compound interest. The rich put in money and they wait and they take it easy. As long as the fees are low, the interest rate is good enough, the safety is good, the downline is guaranteed, they park money at something and then they just leave it. Years later, it turns out to be millions of dollars. Something that started as maybe $10,000 or whatever, multiplies because of the power of compounding interest. However, the poor and the middle class, they're hyperactive. They think you get rich by trading. Yeah, buy a share, sell it 5 minutes later, and then buy some more, and then you miss out, and then sell that. You miss out on the power of compounding, because compound works over time. The very rich actually do very little. They park money, they let it work for them. They check it once in a while. They've got certain things in place, safety checks in place, and that's it. It's totally very different from what the poor and the middle class try to do to get rich. Again, asset allocation, the idea of portfolios. These are small little things. They're actually small little things. Asset allocation is just realizing, look, out of every $100 I've got, I'm going to put $10 in this, $10 in that, whatever. Because of the simple fact that even if you're the most amazing, wisest, super investor, even if you're like whoever you want to mention, you're still going to get some things wrong. So when you get them wrong, your asset allocation and your portfolio is balanced in a way that you'll survive your errors. But the poor and the middle class, they put all their eggs in one basket and hope for the best. And if inevitably they're going to be wrong at some point, and that takes them down completely. So those kind of things. And also, we haven't been taught how to envision. Our mind is random. It's like a monkey just making noise everywhere. Just one day it swings on that branch, then it jumps that forest. We haven't really learned how to have a very good future vision and have focus and clarity, okay? So moving on, the universe answers. Again, we can align ourselves with energy, grace, God, spirit, providence by fixing these things. These are the problems that we've got right now. Our conditioning, again, just like in the section on purpose. We have been conditioned to disregard who we really are. We've been conditioned to think of space-time as objective, concrete realities, which they are not. And we've been conditioned to disregard or disconnect from spirit. In fact, sometimes it's cool to not be connected to spirit. People think of you as soft sometimes when you talk about these things. Yeah? Do you understand what I'm saying? In some circles, you look like a fool if you talk about these things, all right? So that is also affecting us, and you just need to ignore the society and just get back your center. And under you receive that column, here are the problems that are affecting our reception. We have been conditioned to take what you can get, just like we saw in the whole purpose section. We've been conditioned to do whatever it takes to fit in. See, these things are getting you out of your natural center. And remember, when you're in your natural center, you're in the flow, and that's when you're abundant, okay? We've been conditioned to serve the ego or big brother instead of our spirit or our true self. We've been conditioned to face life as a victim or a pawn instead of as a creator, to be emotionally frozen, like we said, to escape from problems rather than embrace them, to struggle by ourselves, the whole do-it-yourself thing, instead of as a team, instead of coming together and doing something together, where two or more are gathered in one common vision. Whoa, it's amazing. But we're like, no, I don't want to join up with anybody because, that ends up in problems. And, a lot of us don't want to go there. Yeah. We've been conditioned also to take money literally as if it was a living, independent God, so that whereby we become even its slave. We're even afraid. A lot of people are afraid of money. They're afraid of talking about it. It's almost like, oh, money. Oh, whoa, that's a God. I don't want to talk about it. It's too complicated. It messes me up. Money is just a little tool like any other. It's like your shoes or your pants. Yeah, it's not a big deal. But we've been scared of it, and then it's been put into all this confusion and mystery and whoa. So we're like, oh my God, money. Oh, what am I gonna do without it? Oh, I have to do whatever it takes to get it. Oh, it's so powerful and I'm so weak. That kind of thing. That's just the wrong buzz, it's the wrong vibe, We've been conditioned to work for money instead of having money working for us. And we've been conditioned to not use leverage. Yeah. Literally, we've been conditioned to, give one unit of time to get $1 of pay. You understand? Time is money, that kind of thing. I exchange my time, you pay me. There's no leverage in that. Even in our investing, this whole idea of quantum compound interest, whereby you leave a certain sum for a long time in a certain kind of investment, we're scared of that. It doesn't even make sense to our minds. We want something that happens tomorrow. So it's sort of like we're afraid of leverage. We don't believe it can happen for us even. Yeah. So now that we know the problem, how do we fix it? Number one, you ask. Okay. Under you ask, this is how you fix. Just like in the passion, in the meaning and purpose section, we looked at previously. We need to discover our natural genius, our natural path to abundance, our strengths and our passions, and then we need to live life from them. These are not going to be side shows, they're going to be the main show. Everything else becomes a side show. When you start to live from this, all of a sudden you start to attract abundance instead of chase it. We also need to acquire knowledge on how to move up the wealth ladder. Yeah, how to come from, the whole I'm in debt, things are just, beating me up, all the way up to I'm contributing massive value to the world, all the way up to, okay, now I'm doing it as an enterprise. So I have a team, I've got systems in place, I've got, all these things in place that are enabling me to share my value to ever increasingly large numbers and gain leverage so that even when I'm not there, my value is still being shared. Okay? That's how you move up the wealth ladder. And then we also need to acquire knowledge on how to invest like the rich. Simple things like, for example, we need to really understand compound interest or compounding. That's such a simple thing, but we sort of haven't really got it. Asset allocation and portfolios. Those are also very simple things. It's just understanding, I've got this much money, how do I allocate it and why? It's very simple, but we're never taught that. So we need to learn that, because this is what starts to multiply the extra money you start to see. This is what allows you to earn extra money. Discovering your natural genius, your natural path to abundance, your strengths and passions. This unleashes the unique you. Only you can provide certain kind of value to the universe. If you're not around, we don't get it. It's like me. I'm unique from you. By me following my natural genius, my natural path to abundance and embracing my strengths and passions and actually doing that, I produce things like, for example, this course and this webinar. Only I can do that. You can do it too, but it will be different. It won't be exactly like I do it. Do you understand? Only I can do it this way. You can do it another way. Or you can do something else. Okay? And I'll never be able to do your thing. But by doing my thing, only I can do it. That uniqueness is only mine. You see what I'm saying? So you, if you're interested in what I have to offer, have to come to me, because you cannot come from somebody else. If you go to somebody else, you'll get maybe the same content roughly, but it will be different, you see? So if you like my vibe or my way, you have to come to me. So that is how I unleash my abundance, by embracing who I really am. And then when I have unleashed it, to be able to leverage and spread it around, I need to acquire knowledge on how to move up the wealth ladder, all right? In other words, to learn how to, go from solo mission to team to society, And then from that extra money I've got, to really multiply and attain abundant financial freedom, whereby I don't have to work, the money is working for me. I need to invest it like the pros. See, that's why I come over here. And for all this, I need to have a future vision. I need to know how to envision properly. Okay? And then, once again, over here, we need to align with who we really are. we're talking spirit, and understand quantum energy, because that, again, that unlocks our mind and makes us more flexible and, you know, in line with spirit. And then again, to be able to receive, I need to heal my inner child, just like you do. So I stop sabotaging myself. I stop telling myself things like, I'm not worthy to tell people what I know. What I know is junk. How do I know it's great? You know, or I'm going to be rejected. You know, that all comes from healing your inner child. And then you get this confidence and you're cool. You flow. And once again, in the Power of One, this is how we help you with those solutions. Know your unique value is one module. 9 levels of wealth really helps you understand this, which is how to move up the wealth ladder. Know your unique value. Financial independence and financial freedom flight path and toolkit helps you with this one, acquire knowledge of how to invest like the rich and all that. And then this one helps you understand how to have a proper future vision. With the next column, once again, the quantum field one and the Course in Miracles ones that we've looked at before. And again, it's to make you a clear channel to receive. We have the undefeated mind, emotional vulnerability, and healing your inner child modules. So I hope you start to understand that having a sure path to financial security, independence, and abundance is actually something that is very attainable. And it's not that complicated. It's just that we don't get to do whatever we need to do. We don't get to do the right things, but it's actually not complicated. Okay? I think we've seen that, right? No? Right. So that's the end of our webinar, basically. I just want to now introduce you properly to the Power of One, the course, okay? And here we've got the main modules all laid out according to the 3 columns in our model. Okay, we've got the module up here on knowing your unique value. We've got the one on the 9 levels of wealth, so that you know where you are and where you're going. We've got one on the financial independence and the financial freedom flight path and toolkit. We've got one on vision, you know, having your future vision very nice and clear. Healing the inner child, which is the same as that one. And to go with that, you need the one on the emotional vulnerability and on cultivating an undefeated mind. And then over here, we've got the one on the quantum field, and we've got the one on A Course in Miracles, a release from the illusion of separation. Okay, so that is basically what you see in front of you is what we call the main course, the main Power of One course. These modules here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the abundance modules. Like I said, I focus on abundance. That's my thing. That's sort of what I was brought here to do. You know, there are others who focus on, you know, relationships and health or fitness or whatever. So my focus is abundance, and that's why you find that it's a concentration right here. Now, the one on quantum field could also be within spirituality, but, you know, I put it in abundance because it's important to start with that one, okay? And then we have the inner game modules. Once again, it's the inner child healing module, the undefeated mind, and the emotional vulnerability modules. I recommend that you do the undefeated mind first, followed by emotional vulnerability, because that will give you the tools to bring into the healing of the inner child. Healing the inner child tends to scare us. You know, the reason why we sort of developed a false identity or false selves, our ego, is so that we could mask the wounds that we have. You see, for example, some people are very defensive when it comes to, you know, intimacy. They're like, oh, you know, they don't want to get close to that because they don't want to be wounded by it. You see, so they develop a shell around them, a protective shell. So healing the inner child, you know, involves breaking that shell so that the true self can come out. Now, breaking the shell is very scary. Okay. Ultimately, it should not be scary, but, you know, initially it will scare the hell out of the person who has a shell, because they put the shell on for protection. So that's why they need to first have a, you know, undefeated mind and emotional vulnerability down pat, and then they'll be able to break the shell and, you know, feel the fear and do it anyway. And obviously, we have the spirituality modules. Here we basically focus on A Course in Miracles. It's an amazing course, and this green module over here, once you watch it, you will totally understand what I'm talking about. I mean, it's amazing. It's just unbelievable. When you look at this, you'll just wonder, wow, I can't believe I missed that all this time. Okay, then obviously, just to add value and to give you more that you can apply to the main course, we've got all these bonuses. We've got a Happy Pocket Full of Money, the illustrated edition. We've got a video on how to cultivate a new abundant relationship with money, one that is based on flow and abundance rather than fear and limitation. Then we've got a summary of everything you ever needed to know about manifestation. We've got the one on visualization and goal setting. It's a masterclass. This is really a cool way to do. Instead of setting goals, we look at the future vision as if it was a memory, as if it had already happened. It's a very powerful technique. Then we've got the Everyday 12-Point Lifesaver. That's an audiobook that's been read by Bob Doyle. And then we've got interviews with 46 business leaders on how to live a life of passion and what they face as challenges and everything. We've got 18 interviews with health leaders, 42 with inspiration leaders, and 11 with spirituality leaders. Examples, people such as Moby the artist, the musician. Paula Abdul is in here as well, being interviewed. Other people that you've heard of or not heard of, Neil Donald Walsh, Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad, all these guys. Then we've got self-talk scripts for life situation. The conversation that you've got in your head, that's called self-talk. We've got 15 scripts of different life situations. Then we've got 340 inspirational artistic wallpapers for you. We've got the experiential guide to a Happy Pocket Full of Money. And we've got extra videos on A Course in Miracles, plus the text and the workbook, all of it. And then we've got 50 videos on starting and running a small business. It's literally an MBA in a box. So if you've ever wanted to build a business based on your passions and strengths, this is going to teach you everything you need to know about business in a nutshell. It's really cool. Then obviously we do live Q&A conference calls, and we've got a discussion forum and a community in there, just so you can meet other people, like-minded people, and share and grow that way. Okay, so I really encourage you to get the Power of One today. We've got a 30-day money back guarantee. It's totally no questions, no hassles, no problems. You ask for your money back, you get it, right? Now, the one thing I'd like to mention here is that we keep adding value to this course. Every now and then we add something cool and new videos or whatever. Also, the community is growing, and as the community grows, that interaction and that mass of people adds value to the community, because now you can really interact and get your questions and answered by other people. You can get into debates and grow that way. And again, we're adding new content, every now and then. And because of this, what we decided was to start the price really low at the beginning, and then as the content increases and the community grows, the price actually adjusts upwards on a weekly basis as this total value grows. So in a nutshell, today, this week is going to be much lower price than next week, and next week's going to be lower price than the week after. So what I'm trying to say is that take advantage of the money back guarantee. If you feel that you are going to get this course, might as well get it today, because this is the lowest price it's going to be. It just keeps going up every week as it grows in value as well. So we want the price to reflect the value. It can never really reflect the value because the value of it is so immense. I mean, this is life-changing material, but I think you understand the point. So join today and you lock in your savings. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at the very end. It's great. You're going to love it. And if you don't, there's a money back guarantee, right? Now, if you get this course today during this webinar, there's a button that shows up right below. It's a webinar only offer. It's available only if you get this course right now during this webinar. And the button below takes you to a special page whereby you're going to get 2 things that are special for this offer. You see, I just believe in rewarding action. So it's not a pressure technique. You don't have to get this. If you don't want it, it's okay. You don't have to get it. But I'm saying if you want it, I want to reward you for acting today. Yeah, I want to encourage you to do that instead of saying, oh, tomorrow, and then something else comes up tomorrow and then you forget about it. Because I believe this stuff will help you. And if it doesn't, I give you back we're going to give you back a refund fully. So just to encourage you to make that decision today, if at all you're going to make it, yeah, there are 2 things we offer. Usually, this thing sells as an annual subscription. So every year you have to renew your membership. And like we said, every week the price is trending up, right? So after 1 year, if you want to join stay within the community and whatever, you'd have to renew at whatever that new rate is. So But if you get it as part of this webinar offer, you get a lifetime membership through the special link that appears below. Appears below this webinar. So with a lifetime annual membership, you no longer have to do the annual fees. So you literally save hundreds of dollars over the years. And then additionally, you also get an extra discount that is available only for webinar attendees. Okay, so you save an additional sum. This discount, it depends on which, when you get it, but it's still going to be lower than if you get it off the webinar. So in that way, we're literally saving you hundreds of dollars by encouraging you to, if you're going to get it now. Yeah, because after this webinar, or once you close this window, that's about it. This offer disappears. So we encourage you to get this during the webinar, so that you lock in those savings. Okay. Once again, I don't like pressure. I don't like giving you pressure. You don't have to get it. I'm not saying you must get this course. You don't have to get it. But if you're gonna get it, I want to reward you for taking action. Okay. So thank you very much again for having attended this webinar. I hope it was actually useful and you got a lot of value out of it. And yes, thank you. I really am glad that you made a choice to come here. Thanks again.